Okay, our first debate. Animals should not be used for entertainment. The proposition may begin.
Hello. As the affirmative side, we support the topic that animals should not be used in the entertainment industry. The meaning of entertainment animals, is basically where humans use or exploit animals for the sole purpose for human entertainment. The entertainment platforms include zoos, circuses, aquariums, rodeos, films, and many other animal fighting events. Our 3 points we want to elaborate on are the conditions animals are forced to live in, the physical abuse, and the mental abuse that are put onto these animals. The entertainment industry seems to rob the animals of their happiness, and the animals are constantly in distress. The training of the animals always leads to physical abuse, and I will be going into the conditions of the animals' living situations. I said in the article, Animals in Entertainment by Wildlife Rescue and Rehabilitation, the roadside zoos and aquariums seem to deceive their audience, stating that they are a conservation and education center for animals. In reality, the animals are locked into those facilities and are lonely, cramped, and bored. In films as well, the animals are used as props just for profit, tend to end up injured, mistreated, or killed on the sets. Like I said before, zoos and aquariums don't have the animals in mind when they're building the area, but only the visitors in mind, which lead to insufficient living spaces for the animals. Another source by the name of DoSomething.org has an article, 11 Facts About Animals in Entertainment, states that in order to use animals in entertainment means removing them from their natural habitat and forcing them into a life of confinement in a cage for the sole purpose of human entertainment. Many of the circus animals travel for about 11 months in a boxcar that has no temperature control or separate eating, sleeping, or defecating spaces. The Dodo also released an article about the most popular aquarium, SeaWorld. When looking at a bird's eye view of multiple SeaWorlds, the parking lots are drastically bigger than the tanks that orcas and dolphins are living in. Dolphins or whales are supposed to be swimming 40 to 100 miles a day, but they are restricted in these confined tanks. Animals are meant to be free and live their own life. They don't belong in inhumane living areas just for human amusement. Animals are species of their own and have their own way of living. The entertainment industry is taking everything away that they were born to do. Animals are not here to be confined, abused, or killed under the watch of humans. They are not puppets to be thrown or pushed around with chains attached to their limbs.
Okay, speaker one for the opposition.
Hello, my name is Corey, and I'm on the opposition, and our side is arguing that it is perfectly acceptable to use animals for entertainment. Before I begin, I would first like to define what animal entertainment is, which is the use of animals for human or other, and for the use of the entertainment of others. So I would first like to, I would like to introduce my team's assertions, one being that there would be no point of the animals used in entertainment if the animal were dead, hurt, and unhappy, which I will also refute the opposing side, the affirmative, saying that a positive trend in film and movie, or just the film industry, is that in the credits, when the movie is rolling, the credits say that no animals were harmed in the making of the movie. That can be assured, which will assure that the animals were not harmed, which will be listed later in my team's contentions. Without the animals, there would be no more entertainment. But why would humans harm the animals? If the animals were harmed, for example, a horse, then the horse wouldn't be able to do its best in the race. Why would the person racing the horse want to harm the animals if they couldn't perform at their best? Also, the chance of a horse being injured in a race is exceptionally low, according to the Animal Sports Entertainment. If they do harm the animals, however, it would be an accident. Now for a second point, being about conservation and zoos. So I would first like to start off with an example, which is the Virginia Zoo. 10 prairie dogs died when the tunnel collapsed. But as we may speak, no one wanted that to happen, which the same thing would happen in real life if they were in the wild. And the zoo specialists will make sure something like that doesn't happen again because they want to save the animals, which is the purpose of the zoo. To clarify, the main purpose of a zoo is to conserve a species or to save animals that need help, and sometimes they are found in the wild and are reintroduced later in their life. These animals are put onto display and continuing living their life that they may have struggled to live before. Do you think the zoos would really want visitors to see their animals suffer? In a likewise position, many circuses are also fined and shut down because they're abusing their animals. Anyone who is into horse or dog racing will tell you that these animals are healthy and happy when they are racing them, which is the same as what I said before, where why would they want to race animals that aren't happy and aren't doing well because, well, one, they aren't getting the best quality of what they can do. There is evidence in another debate article that animals in sports and entertainment that animals enjoy performing and form a close relationship with their partners and trainers in the audience. Which, to conclude my speech, cruelty to animals is not entertainment, and animals being used for entertainment is perfectly acceptable.
All right, speaker 2 for the proposition.
As the proposition's second speaker, I will enforce the points made by my team members and prove to you, Judge, that animals should not be used for entertainment. The opposition stated that in the credits of movies can say, no animals are harmed. But in the example of the movie Milo and Otis and many other Hollywood movies, the credits completely lied, and deleted scenes show that animals in fact were abused. Many animals violently held hostage in entertainment are physically abused. For example, dogs were forced under the hooves of cows, and cats were sent off of waterfalls in cardboard boxes in the beloved children's film Milo and Otis. How is it fair for animals to be treated with this type of violence for the sake of entertainment? Further, racetracks are a common sight in the U.S., but even they have upsetting and often illegal practices when it comes to the treatment of their horses. According to Global Movement, Do Something, many racehorses are illegally injected with cocaine to numb the pain of repetitive racing injuries. If a horse is experiencing enough pain to literally need to be heavy drugged because of these races, how is it fair to sit by and watch? Continuing, zoos across the world have been known to abuse animals in order to get them to perform tricks. For example, according to a UK study of elephants, only 16% of all zoo elephants were able to walk correctly. The rest of these elephants were suffering damage to their feet or ankles. That means that a staggering 84% of UK zoo elephants have suffered unreasonable injuries to their feet. 84% is a far too high percentage. Finally, it is more than clear that animals in entertainment are violently and physically abused. These animals suffer day in and day out, yet we still sit by and enjoy the show. Many animals are hit, poked with electric rods, or forced to work so hard that they injure themselves. It is absolutely unacceptable that these animals are treated this way for the sake of entertainment. Thank you, and please support the affirmative.
Okay, speaker 2 for the opposition.
Okay, hi, my name's T, and I'll be supporting the opposition side. So, I heard that the opposition side said that there was a movie and the animals were hurt, but as we may speak, that movie was sued, and because people do not want to see animals getting hurt in entertainment. If that movie wasn't sued, if that movie is not entertaining to people who love and care for animals. So to start off, animal entertainment is a part of and is acceptable. Okay. To start off, I would like to give the definition of zoos. According to the Oxford Dictionary, a zoo is an establishment which maintains a collection of wild animals, typically in parks or gardens, to study
or conserve or to display in public areas, and it is also a place of refuge and safety or it is also a nature reserve. Now, as a second opposition, I would like to summarize our ideas. Zoos, sanctuaries, and safaris benefit animals and their population. According to the article, debate, animals in sports and entertainment, animals may live longer lives in zoos or entertainment than in the wild. Sea lions can live around 30 years in zoos, while in the wild, they can live around 20 years. Zoos protect against species going extinct. A big numbers of species only exist in captivity, and some species also only exist because they have been reintroduced from zoos. Source, animals in the wild versus captivity. The wild animal population has been boosted by captivity. For example, the Smithsonian National Zoological Park participates in the recovery of endangered or threatened species, including giant pandas, tigers, golden lion tamarins, cheetahs, black-footed ferrets, and etc. Some of these breeding programs for these species consist of bringing the endangered species into zoos, breeding them, and releasing their young into the wild to help repopulate. Zoos and safaris also teach and encourage kids to love and support animals of all different kinds. Zoos teach us the importance of nature. They provide scientists the opportunity to study and help save animals. Sanctuaries also allow for safe, uncaged home for animals too. With the 30 to 2,000 acres, animals are able to keep their natural instincts intact. Sanctuaries also allow for animals to feel like they are in the wild, along with humans' observations still occurring. The same thing is present for safaris too. Animals are also saved from chemical contamination and poachings by being placed in zoos, safaris, and sanctuaries. Today's zookeepers are specially trained with knowledge, education, and training about their animal. This reduces the probability of attacks and accidents. And that concludes my second. Thank you.
Okay, we will hear from this third speaker on the proposition with concluding remarks.
Okay. Hello, I am Cece, and I shall be concluding the affirmative side of this debate that animals should not be used for entertainment purposes. To restate our debate, our first point was that animals' conditions were really bad and how they are being kept in cages. And our second point was the physical abuse of animals and how their bodies cannot handle the entertainment business. And our third point, what I shall be talking about, is what mental effects entertainment has on the animals. As spoken by T, she explained how animals, yes, certain animals in movies were sued, yet they should not have been sued in the first place, because if you sue a movie, that means that they did something wrong. They should not have done it in the first place. Zoos don't always benefit animals. For example, UK zoos are connected to the UK circuses, and zoos don't even help out the animals fully, not all the time, according to freedomforanimals.org. So, the point that I will be stating is the mental effects that animals have when in entertainment business. When put in zoos, circuses, film sets, etc., they don't carry out their natural behaviors. As a result from boredom and lack of the stimulation, or in other words, enrichment, animals in zoos and circuses oversleep, overeat, and show signs of severe frustration and even mental instability. It is possible for these animals to develop a condition called zoochosis, which is a psychological problem that affects animals in captivity, usually resulting in repetitive behavior that includes pacing and regimented circles, in other words, forever circles, bar biting, air biting, rocking and swaying, head bobbing, over-grooming, and self-destruction. A study by Oxford University found on The Fithian Project Mental Health of Animals shows that 40% of elephants in zoos display unhealthy repetitive behaviors. Wild elephants can live to be approximately 50 years of age, while zoo elephants only live to be 20 years old. That's like less than half of their actual age that they're supposed to live up to. And that is not right. One of the reasons for this is elephants can develop brain tumors in zoos and in circuses and in many other places. It's not right, and it's like very unhealthy for the animals. According to 15 Things to Know About Mental Disorders in Animals and the Entertainment Industry, I found that some of these illnesses were beyond shocking. Military dogs can suffer from PTSD. Birds can get their own forms of depression and anxiety. Dogs can develop autism. Rats can become binge eaters. Orangutans suffer from unusual addictions, such as abusing one another. Large cats can get OCD behaviors that is like not their normal behavior, such as they tend to hide all of their food and not eat that food. Chimpanzees can get high levels of anxiety. Horses end up abusing themselves. Pigs can get thin sow syndrome, which is also known as anorexia. Animals lose lots of sleep. Captive orcas grow aggressive and kill humans. Their nickname is killer whales, and humans, they question why they're called killer whales, yet it's because us humans have abused them so much, it makes them aggressive, it kills the humans, that's where they get their name. All started with human abuse. And worst of all, animals can end up committing suicide due to their unnatural and harsh environments. Now, according to PETA Animals source, according to 15 Things to Know About Mental Disorders in Animals in the entertainment industry. According to PETA, Animals Used in Entertainment fact sheet, a man named Arkley Huntley says Ringling Brothers, which is a circus company, believe that they could keep the animals afraid, they could keep them submissive. And what is that going to do? Making animals afraid? That's like a mental condition on its own. Fear is not right for animals. It's like, that's abuse on a whole new level. That can only make you think. What types of things do they do to get that animal to be afraid? As you can see, Judge, animals should not be used in entertainment, for it is wrong and basically animal cruelty. The conditions for the animals are very bad and unsanitary. Animals get physically abused, and mental problems occur far more often than you know. Judge and audience, please consider this. Would you want to be forced into dangerous acts and films without any protection, or taken from your home and placed in front of prying eyes? Treat others the way you wanted to be treated. If you don't want it to happen to you, then why have it happen to animals? Thank you.
Okay, and our final speaker for the opposition.
So, my name is Sophia Thomas, and I am the final opposition speaker. So, first, I would like to go back to what Cece said about zoochosis and the unnatural repetitive behaviors that have been brought on by animals being kept in cages. Many zoos actually have entertainment programs, and they will provide toys for the animals so that they have enrichment, so that they won't get zoochosis. Many zoos have these programs specifically because they do not want to see their animals be hurt because they are kept in cages. They provide enrichment for the animals because phoenixzoo.com or the Phoenix Zoo website. Also, most of the animals are bred in captivity for a lot of different zoos. Again, my source, Phoenix Zoo. It's because when most of the animals are bred in captivity that are placed in zoos because they can't survive in the wild on their own. So when you say that a lot of animals are kept from their natural habitat and torn away from their home, the zoo has become their home. All they've ever known is the zoo, and so they have less of a chance of developing zoochosis and other mental illnesses because they have grown up in that environment. They know what to expect. They're not being taken from their original environment. Also, going back to what you said about the killer whales. They are called killer whales because of their diet that is not attributed to most other animals. They kill. They go out, they actually kill animals like seals and stuff like that. The other different types of whales don't do that. They just eat plankton and most other types like that. Killer whales are part of the category of carnivorous. Well, like, they will go out and they will kill large animals for their food. Okay. Also, going back to what you said about the movie Milo and Otis, when you say they shouldn't have been sued in the first place, we agree, but we're not saying that we don't agree that they should, that behavior was acceptable. But that is why most movie franchises are requiring that no animals were harmed in the making of this movie be put in the credits. So that way everybody knows that no animals were harmed. And if they are lying when they say that, they will be sued. They will be punished for it, which will cost them a ton of money that they already are losing. So, summarizing the ideas based on my team, when done the right way, businesses like zoos and circuses are not harmful to the animals. People don't want to see injured and sick animals when they go to zoos or when they go see a circus. So why would the zoos or circuses harm the animals in the first place? Most zoos also have conservation programs where they breed endangered animals, like what T said, and then they release them into the wild. Those animals are kept in specific conditions so they can be released back into the wild. Also, a lot of different species of animals cannot live in the wild anymore. They only exist because they are bred and held in captivity. Zoos, sanctuaries, and safaris also all count as animal entertainment, animals being used to provide entertainment for humans. And safaris, zoos, and sanctuaries do not intentionally harm the animals, and sanctuaries and safaris do not harm the animals. Going back to what the first opposition speaker, Corey, said, if the animals were hurt in, for example, horse racing, they would not be able to do as well in the races. And all entertainment is not created equal. So, just going back to what she said about the prairie dogs that were killed by the collapsing tunnel, they would have died whether their tunnel had collapsed in the wild or in the zoo. They were not harmed because of the zoo. They were harmed by an unusual circumstance that would have happened anywhere. So this concludes the opposition side of the debate. Please support the opposition side, the animals, that is perfectly acceptable to use animals for entertainment.